Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Well, happy Tuesday. Happy first week of spring. There are several things that I'm really proud of accomplishing in my life. I teach at a community college, and I've gotten really good at speaking up, speaking up for myself in the office environment. So, for example, we had some furniture that needed to be rearranged, and I spoke up about it. In the past, I would have really struggled with it, and there were some issues with the course website not working in the way it should, and I spoke up about it. I spoke up about students who were being unreasonable, right? That's always a classical one at the community college. But there's one blind spot of mine that I often neglect. I often fail to do preventative speaking up. What do I mean by that? A lot of times, I try to negotiate things in the midst of conflict when I could have spoken up beforehand, right? So, for example, I've had toxic jobs in the past, and the only time I would think about talking to the boss about his unreasonable demands was when he was making them. Things would calm down. We'd have a good couple of weeks, sometimes months of no nonsense like that. And I wouldn't think about that situation until it comes rushing out of his mouth again. And then I'm thinking about speaking up. And I'm playing defense a lot of times. And so I do that a lot, not just with bosses, but with roommates, with romantic relationships, with family, with everything else, right? Let me give you an analogy. At one point, I had a laptop computer and I had taken the laptop somewhere, I can't remember where, that didn't have Wi Fi. And I discovered that here in Phoenix, we have this internet service provider called Cox. They give you a free trial for an hour to log in. And didn't need to enter your credit card or anything. You could just type in your email, get a free trial for 1 hour. And I needed it in a pinch. I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was doing some kind of tutoring or something. We met at a weird place, right? And there was no Wi-Fi. And so I signed up for Cox. Not a big deal, right? The problem is that my computer seemed to remember what a good time we had at Cox. And now every time I went anywhere else, right, to the college campus, to my friend's home, wherever, it automatically wants to connect to Cox rather than my friend's Wi-Fi or the Starbucks or the campus or wherever, right? And so I would get there and I'll be like, uh-oh, I need to figure out how to change my settings. And there's a problem, though. I didn't have internet to find out how to connect to internet. And so I would think I would be upset at not having internet at the Starbucks, at my friend's home, at wherever. And then finally, I would make it somewhere else where there wasn't Cox, right? Back home, back somewhere else. And the last thing on my mind would be, how do I fix this problem, right? I only wanted to fix it when I ran into the problem, right? And that's a funny story, but it's a little bit less funny when the only reason you want to talk to your boss is when he has a meltdown, right? That's the worst time to try to negotiate any sense there, right? So today's Tuesday. I'm constant nowadays. I tell myself I got to think, what might I want in the future? What might I want in the future? Just constantly ask that, right? Did my boss say anything unreasonable last week that I need to navigate, right? Is there anything I need to navigate in my life, right? But if you constantly ask that, and you can set aside a time where neither side is distracted, right? For me, my personal weakness is food cravings. You know, if my boss tries to talk to me when I'm in getting ready to have lunch, I'm not going to be in a good mood to discuss it, right? But by being proactive, I can actually choose a good time to do it, right? And I won't be choosing a time when my boss has other agendas on his mind, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.